Shake, 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 shake. Let me just show off my earring. Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Millie. I'm a Chinese girl currently living in Shanghai, China. This is my personal YouTube channel. So in this channel, we will talk about some like Chinese story, Chinese lifestyle, and Chinese culture. If you have any like interest about China, you probably could just give me the comment, and maybe I will share something in the next video. Okay, so today we will talk about a very famous, not famous, very popular movie, Nezha 2. Yes, I know the hype of this movie has already been for a long time, and this is not like a very on-trend topic, but I still think there's several very interesting aspects that we could like discuss a little bit, especially from a Chinese perspective, right? So before we dive into this topic, just let me give you some real-time data of the performance of this movie. But please don't get me wrong, I'm not like showing off something. It's just like I want to use some official data as the opening speech to prove the profession of my video. So up to the March 15, the global revenue of Nezha 2 is already over $2.1 billion, securing the 5th position of the global all-time box office chart, became the highest grossing animated film in Asia and the global animation box office leader. Well, congratulations! This at least means that this movie is absolutely a very fantastic movie because most of the time, data could just tell you everything. So as a Chinese person, am I proud of this performance? Well, yes, absolutely yes. We feel really glad that there's a movie that could bring like all of the animation production industry, Chinese industry, in front of the global view. It's just like finally we could let the global know that in China we also have this ability to produce a very good animation movie. And am I like it? Well, to be honest, I'm not very into this movie. But I have to like make statement in advance. Like this is all of my personal opinion. It's not related to any specific group or any like specific Chinese community. It's just because on the one hand, I think it makes sense that different people have different like opinion and feeling on the same story on the same movie, and for me it's just like no big deal. I would like to let everybody know what's my opinion and what's my feeling. And on the other hand, I just don't like some people saying that the viral of this movie is just because of the Chinese people patriotic sentiment. I just don't like it because I think it's just like a really good opportunity to let me express that yes, Chinese people feel really proud of these things, this movie, this performance, but we also have a diverse opinion around this movie. It's just like there's no inherent conflict between these two parts. So for today's topic, I will separate this topic from 3 parts: technology, story, culture, to talk about why this movie become like a blockbuster and why I don't like it. Cause I think these 3 points are very major point to support a movie become like a real movie. So technology. I mean, if you watch several different comment video on YouTube around this movie, you will already notice that people just feel amazed by the quality of animation production around this movie. Therefore, I actually highly recommend everybody could go to the cinema to watch this movie rather than just like watch later on some like platforms. Cause I went to the cinema to watch this movie, and I have to say that the movie screen could amplify all of the very detailed things around this like animation. I even noticed some really little tiny like detail of some like really little menaced character in the movie, which is really crafted and fantastic. So it could give you a very good experience when you watch an animation movie. The director and production teams during the interviews also said that they provide numerous examples of this meticulous attention to detail in the filmmaking process. For example, like there's several scenes with such as a very little short, probably just 1 second of a screen time, but they will spend almost a whole day, a whole single day to finish it, to refine it. But to be honest, those are the major points that I'm not really into this movie, cause it's just like too much. It's too much for me. I mean, yes, I agree. The whole production is just like really fantastic. I can't help but just keep express my amazing feeling during the whole like watching process. But when you spend almost two-thirds of the duration, like sit in the cinema and watch all of those fantastic production effect, you will feel a little bit visual fatigue, you know. Especially, the excessive amount of time just devoted to those fight scene. It just give me a little bit confusion about why those compact looks like never ending in this movie. It's just like literally never ending in this story. And I remember I went to the cinema with my friend, and all of us just feel really exhausted after we finish watch the whole movie because it's just like too much. But on the other hand, I actually understand why the director, the whole production team make this arrangement. Because with this such high quality production, it just like delete any scene, any segment. It looks like very regrettable. In the interview, the director expressed that through this meticulous crafting process, they just realized that sometimes those towering peaks of technology they once admired are also the result of refinement and actually are not very unattainable. It just requires you to push yourself to break that boundary, to break that limitation. So therefore, actually I believe that if I am in his shoes, probably I will not like delete most of the scenes of those fantastic production scenes, cause those are my treatment. Those are my desires that I want to show in front of everybody that Chinese small company also have this ability to produce this high quality animation. That totally makes sense. And the story. Yes, if you watch the movie, you probably know that the whole Nezha story just come from very Asian, like traditional Chinese mythology. And all of the story actually were presented in the first story of this series. So actually from the start of Nezha 2, they already add a lot of new imagination. From a narrative perspective, I think it's a successful sequel with no major plot holes or any logical like problem. But however, for me personally, I just feel like the whole story for me is a little bit boring because yes, it's very simple, it's very straightforward. I mean, all of the good guy and bad guy, I almost could know from the beginning of this movie without any like deep thinking or any suspense. It's just like really straightforward. And those punchline for me is also not very make sense. Well, actually, I didn't experience any like emotion fluctuation. I didn't experience any like anger, excitement, or happy during the whole process. For me, just like very light storyline with a high quality like production. On the other hand, I actually think this is the critical reason why this movie could become like a blockbuster, like one of the reason. Cause this movie released during the Spring Festival vacation process. So in this period, the audience actually, most of the audience are like family audience. So if you wanna like make sense or relate to those family audience, you need to have a very straightforward and understandable storyline so that it could like make the sense suitable with the whole relaxed vacation vibe and made all of the different level of audience could understand your story. And also it could make those like people which come from the different global background and who are not familiar with the original story are very easy to understand the whole movie structure. For example, like the data shows that about 60% of Nezha 2's domestic box office revenue actually came from lower tier cities. And for this part, I just want to make a little bit deep explanation about lower tier cities. In my opinion, is not related to any negative item, because I think in this economic climate, those cities actually have a really huge and deep potential for the economy. These markets often just maintain a very certain distance from the global economy. So for them, they also have a very stable economic development. So if you could attract enough attention of the people which come from these lower tier cities, you definitely could have a very deep education or grab enough interest in these areas, which is a good thing, a good opportunity for whether your industry or whether your product. Culture. I think it's really complicated to talk about the culture, but also I think this is the critical point why I didn't have any like resignation with this film. But first and foremost, please just let me put some like policy element in this part, because I think policy sometimes just like culture, they have a very unique like local characteristic. Well, we all know like a movie's inherent production, inherent element are always just like a basic line to attract enough attention. But we also have to admit, sometimes policy support could just elevate this movie into a very specific level. As the early as 2025, the Chinese government has already introduced like policy aimed at supporting the animation and the gaming industries. It's just like they quietly preparing a series of supporting measures. But however, we have to admit that actually during the recent years, the performance of Chinese movie actually is not very like stable. Sometimes it's good and then sometimes it's just like not very well. So in the 25 Spring Festival, a movie season, yes, to be honest, they're just Nezha 2 stand out of all of the releases. So result in government actually just invest all of the potential resources to this movie to support this movie. For example, like CCTV just ran a lottery campaign on Weibo, giving away like tickets for Nezha 2 as a prizes. And the Shanghai Animation Film Studio, the producer of the 1979 classic Nezha Conquer the Dragon King, immediately published endorsement for Nezha 2. Like this series of coordinated efforts ultimately helped Nezha 2 achieve a nationwide phenomenon. elevating it to a must-have watch culture event. So as we mentioned that all of the story of Nezha actually just come from a very Asian Chinese mythology story. So as a myth, it's always like represent some spiritual or culture background. And so in my view, there's a no like definitely virgin versus like adaptation like version. For example, like the iconic 1979 animated film Nezha, produced by Shanghai Animation Film Studio. Even that version was a reimagining shaped by a specific time. It represents anti-patriotic theme, which direct product of that period like culture climate. When I watch this version of Nezha 2, it's just like I couldn't help but just wonder why this Nezha wanna rebel for something. It's just like what is the specific reason triggering Nezha to fight? For instance, there's a plot twist where a sea monster, initially portrayed as just like a victim of Chen Tangguan's civilian, but later they just change into the victims themselves. So while the character, yes, sometimes they could shift, but the core issue is that this version of Nezha is rebellious just for the sake of rebellion. He lacks of the truly compelling or very like a fundamental reason to fight. And this is the reason why the director actually arranged Nezha's mother have to die to trigger Nezha's burnout, to unleash Nezha's power to fight for something, cause there's just like no specific reason behind Nezha's like fighting. I also have to say, like Nezha's mother's death, this plot is the plot that I hate most in this film. I just don't understand why in all of this movie they always need to arrange a woman's death or a mother's death to make people become like a hero. Why? On the other words, why they just arrange that Nezha's father have to die? Who could give me this answer? Honestly, most of the time, all of this shot around Nezha's too just give me some cringe rather than cheer. So I think I just couldn't find a resonation between like with this movie. But I have to say all of this are just my personal feeling of this movie. I still really highly recommend everybody could go to the cinema to watch this movie cause it's really amazing for all of the production, for all of the quality of this movie. And also please give a Chinese movie opportunity to like express our ability, to express our interesting story. It's a really good experience for you if you want to like invest your time on this movie. Okay, so all of these are today's video's content. If you want to like talk anything about Nezha or the story or any Chinese culture, you could just leave the comment. And yes, I will reply you. So see you next time. Stay tuned for me. Bye. Subscribe me.